Hey guys, I've been talking this whole time about how vocabulary is really important in geometry. So I just wanted to make a short video that kind of reviews all the vocabulary words that you need to just know. Most of those things you should have committed to memory already. And if not, you better get them there fast. Okay, so in lesson number 1, this is what we learned. We learned this is a line, and we learned that this is a segment or a line segment. And we learned that this is a ray. We learned that this kind of angle measure is less than 90 degrees, so it is an acute angle, less than 90 degrees. We learned that this angle, that is more than 90 degrees. It is obtuse, more than 90 degrees. We learned that this, denoted by a little box, is a right angle, and that is exactly equal to 90 degrees. And we learned that this, a straight line or a straight angle, is exactly equal to 180 degrees. Also, in that first lesson, we learned about complementary angles. Complementary angles, they are two angles that add, that add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles, are two angles that add up to 180 degrees. We learned what it meant to be adjacent. So adjacent angles are next to each other. For example, angle 1 and angle 2 would be next to each other. We learned vertical angles are in an X and they are opposite of each other, so like 1 and 2. We also learned that vertical angles are congruent. They are equal to each other. And the last one, we learned about a linear pair. And a linear pair are two angles that line up with each other on a straight line. So that would be like angles 1 and 2. So they line up with each other on a straight line, and those guys, because it's a straight line, they add up to 180 degrees. So a lot of vocab there in our first lesson. Lesson number 2. Lesson number 2, we learned about parallel lines. So here's a pair of parallel lines. How do I know? Because I'm going to put those little triangles on them. That's how I know that they are parallel to one another. And then we've got this guy that's called the transversal. And when a transversal cuts parallel lines, it creates a bunch of angle pairings. So let's call this angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we learned about some different angle pairings. We learned about interior angles. Interior angles are on the inside of the parallel lines. So that would be angles 3, 4, 5, and 6. We learned about exterior angles. Those ones are located outside of the parallel line. So that would be on top, numbers 1 and 2, and then on the bottom, 7 and 8. Then we learned about alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, corresponding, which means same position, and consecutive interior. All right, alternate interior angles. So that would be angles 3 and 6, or 5 and 4. And alternate interior angles are congruent. Alternate exterior angles would be those guys. So a combination of 1 and 8, or 2 and 7. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. Corresponding angles have the same position. So top left of the transversal, top left of the transversal. So that means 1 and 5, 3 and 7, they're bottom left and bottom left. 2 and 6, they're the top right, and then 4 and 8, they're bottom right. Okay, so those are all of our angle pairings. And 1 and 5, 3 and 7, they have the same position. That means that they are congruent to one another. And then consecutive interior, that means same side interior. So that's going to be 3 and 5 combo, or 4 and 6 combo. These are the only ones that are not congruent to one another. However, they add up to 180 degrees. All right, so that was lesson 1, lesson 2, and then we had lesson number 3, vocabulary. So we learned yesterday about the triangle sum theorem, and that says that all interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. We learned about the exterior angle theorem, and let me draw you a picture. So let's say I have angles 1, 2, and the exterior is 3. So the exterior angle theorem says that the exterior angle is equal to the addition of the two interior but non-adjacent angles. So I would add up angle 1 and angle 2, and that would total the same amount as my exterior angle. And then we learned about this word bisects. To bisect something means to cut in half, or to cut into 2 equal pieces. All right, and that is our quick vocabulary review. You just need to know these words cold. All right, let's move on to the next lesson.